Hopefully we're live. Okay, I think we're live. Excellent. Hello, everyone. So you might be watching this on the replay or you might join in. But today we're going to try and keep it short. These things end up being way too long. So I'm going to try and keep it short and sweet this week just because, crazy busy. Oh, we already have some people joining in. So hello, everyone. Welcome to The Pagan Perspective. I am Megan, aka Sabirasri. Today is Thursday, and we are talking about the Akashic Records today. So the other hosts this week have done a great job. I've only seen briefly some of the videos. Hello, Caleb. And they have done a phenomenal job. Honestly, they really have. There's not, by the time it gets to Thursday, sometimes there's not a lot left to say when it's on topics like talk about this one particular thing. But, and if you were just joining, like Caleb, say hi. I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. I apologize. The lighting I'm still trying to get it right. I've been noticing that the lives don't have as much light. So hopefully you can really see me and I have enough light this time. The only problem is I have you propped up on pillows. So every time I laugh or talk with my hands, which I do a lot, it shakes the pillows. So I apologize for that. But definitely let me know where you're watching from and say hi. So yes, we're talking about the Akashic Records today. Hello from Delaware, Eric. Hello. I am in Portland, Oregon. So for those, and Vancouver, Washington, you were 20 minutes from me, tops? Very cool. Hello, Deborah. We should do some sort of a meetup. Awesome. Hello. Welcome, everyone. So yes, we are talking about the Akashic Records today, this week. And yeah, Akashic Records. It is something that is primarily, I believe, in the Buddhist faith. And I could be wrong on that. I know that a lot of other faiths have incorporated it and other people have used it. However, what has trickled down to me basically has been that the Akashic Records are sort of this non-corporeal library of sorts on a non-physical plane that basically include knowledge of everything that ever was or ever will be or ever is, if that makes sense. So basically anyone who has lived, died, been born, any soul out there in anything is included in the Akashic Records. So it's pretty inclusive, a lot of stuff. It's a lot. I feel like it's a little infinite. I know that, I can't remember the movie now, and I'm sure it's probably been in a lot of different movies, but when I think of the Akashic Records, I have one of two images in my mind. The first image that comes to my mind is this stark white hallway with doors on either side, right? And it goes on forever. And it's just door after door after door. And just every door you go into, you open it up and it's just words floating everywhere in ethereal space. And it's just massive amounts of information that no one could ever know all of. And then the other thing that makes me think of like an old Egyptian tomb with scrolls that just go up to the ceiling. There's actually a new show, I think it was on HBO, called Carnival Row. And they have this beautiful library in there. And because they're fairies, they fly, so their library was vertical. And so it's all these scrolls, and it just goes up for seemingly a very, very long time. And it's just filled with scrolls and scrolls and scrolls. And so that sort of imagery kind of comes to mind when I think of the Akashic Records. Even though it's on a non-corporeal plane, it's energetic, this idea of it just being massive, right? That's what I think of. So it's not something that I use in my practice. It's not something that I really think about. What we use in my practice, my family, so we have something we call the Well of Ancestral Knowledge, which is very, very similar when you think about the goal of what the Akashic Records really is doing. What it's doing is kind of holding the memories of all that was and is and will be. And so the well of ancestral knowledge is very similar to that. It is something that we can tap into through meditation and astral projection and other things. We can tap into that well of ancestral knowledge that the ancestors know all and see all, and that wisdom that they can pass on to us. And so we can go there to seek guidance. And so that's sort of my family's version of the Akashic Records. And so the Akashic Records, for other people, though, definitely, I'm sure, has their own specialness, and it's sacred space within their faith. So that's definitely how I see it, and how I look at it. And yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about. But I do want to open it up for questions. If some people, there really wasn't a question this week. It was just talk about the Akashic Records. So, oh, Deborah just asked a question. She says that she's interested in the idea of the Akashic Records, but she doesn't really know too much about them and not sure what to do with it. Right now, it's not in my personal practice. Exactly. I hear you. It's not in my personal practice either. For me, the well of ancestral knowledge, that is what I use. The way that I think about the Akashic Records, though, it is sort of that space in which, if we think about DNA, so DNA holds tons and tons of information, right? We know that in certain animals, there is DNA knowledge that's passed on to offspring. For example, migratory patterns of birds, right? They're not taught by their parents where to migrate. They just know instinctually where to go. The same thing with sea turtles, for example. They know instinctually where to go. And that's because it's encoded in their DNA. So DNA holds a lot. And so when I think of the Akashic Records, when I think of my version of that, which is the well of ancestral knowledge, I think about encoded DNA and this knowledge, this genetic knowledge that has been passed on from generation to generation. It's something that we all have within us. Every living being has this generational knowledge. And for me, that's how I choose to work with it. And that's sort of how I use it. And that's why I don't call it the Akashic Records, because I know that that is very specific to particular faiths. So for me, I like to think about it more like generational knowledge, and the way that I can use that in my practice, in particular with meditation. Because if I'm looking for an answer to something, if I'm looking for something, a spark of an idea, or I'm really perplexed about something and I need more creative juices flowing, I will oftentimes meditate and go seek out the well of ancestral knowledge, which is what I use versus the Akashic Records. And I will seek out the well, and I have a visualization for the well. And I pull up, and every time, you pull the bucket up, what you need is in that bucket, and you look into it, and then you see what you need. If maybe that makes sense, I'm not sure. Lauren says, hi. And Deborah says, would you say your idea of ancestral knowledge is sort of like the collective unconscious, or no? So yes, in a way. So I am a therapist. So I am very familiar with the collective unconscious, and it's definitely similar to that. I think that ancestral knowledge, genetic knowledge encoded in our DNA, generational knowledge, if you will, absolutely. That is what we're talking about when we're talking about collective unconscious. It is that that knowledge base that we all share and that we can all draw from. When I talk about specifically the well of ancestral knowledge, I'm also talking about my particular lineage. So that is my ancestors directly linking. And that goes very far back. And it's not that other people can't use that. It's that I'm going to get answers from my direct ancestors before I'm going to get answers from, say, somebody else's ancestors, if that makes sense. It's sort of my direct link to them. And I would encourage anyone can tap into the well. That is something that is specific to my faith. So there is a few little details to it, but anyone can really access it. If you go into a meditative state and bring up a visualization of a well, and just see what ends up happening, and know that you are seeking out ancestral knowledge. Ask your ancestors for the knowledge that you're seeking, for the guidance, and pull up the bucket and see what's inside. And the more you work with it, the more you spend time with your ancestors in that way, and they know that that's a way that they can communicate with you, the more you'll get out of it, if that makes sense. Let me read another. Deborah says, super cool. Thank you. You have a more direct line from your ancestors. Makes sense. Yes, exactly. Yes, absolutely. So it's what I prefer to use. I feel like it's something I can do very quickly. I've been doing it since I was very young. It's something easy to teach children. So I was taught, I think the first time was probably around like 8 or 9 years old when I started doing this. But I was meditating from a very, very young age. It's part of my faith. And so it's something that I was taught how to do at a young age, to be able to access the ancestors in that way, because it's a very simple concept for children to understand. And at the same time as it's simple, it can be so complex and so deep and so rich. So it just can travel with you your entire life. And it's something that anyone can access. And the more that they do it, the better of that connection that you will have. And the more you will be able to get out of that relationship. So if that makes sense to you, hopefully it does. Yes. So I think that's probably all I wanted to say, unless somebody had any specific questions about it. I definitely think this year, the end of the year is just flying by. We've got subs week next week, and then I'll be back for a week. And then we take, I think it might be subs week again. And then we take the rest of the year off, the rest of 2019 off, and then it's 2020. So it'll be exciting in the new year, and the new calendar year, I should say. And yeah, it's flown by. This year has definitely flown by, and it's been crazy when I think about, I started this year off in Maui, and now I'm in Oregon, and it's just life. It's been a lot. Caleb says, just don't have much to add to the topic. The ancestral connection is something that definitely connects with my practice. I'm working on a book of ancestors as well to track down my family tree. Caleb, that's wonderful. Oh, that's exciting. I'd love to hear about it when you're farther along. That is great. That's wonderful. I think tracking down our ancestors is so valuable. And I think I've talked about on here many times how important ancestor veneration and ancestor work is to my practice. So I think that's wonderful. And yeah, I feel you. I don't have a ton more to add other than what I personally do. And if I didn't explain it well, definitely I will try. And if you have extra questions once this is over with, or if you're watching this in the live stream and you have more questions, or like the replay of the live stream and you have more questions, go ahead and ask in the comments, and I will try and come back within the next couple of days to answer. And maybe if there does seem to be like a lot of questions about it, I can do a specific dedicated video to the well on my personal channel. So if you do want to see that, definitely leave in the comments about that. And if there's enough call for it, I'll make a specific video on it in my personal channel. But yeah, so I think that is it for today. We still managed to get about 15 minutes. So it still is a pretty long video in YouTube world. So yeah, I think that is it for today. Thank you all so much for joining in. I know that it's hard when I don't schedule these. It's just one of those things where it just makes it so much easier than having to edit a video and put it up. I just feel like I talk to you easier and just me when it's on the live. I don't have to, I'm getting the feedback with you. I enjoy being able to talk to you on these lives. So hopefully you like it too. And it's just you and me. All right. I think that's it for today. And I will not see you next week, but I will see you the week after. Eric says, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Lauren, thank you so much. All right, everyone. I will see you in 2 weeks. As always, blessed be and aloha. Bye.